Great. So this panel is going to be about getting to college. And we all know that getting to college is one thing, but graduating is another thing altogether. And for first generation students, the road can look daunting at times, and yet there are many on campus resources to support students. Staff and students from the University of Texas at San Antonio will share their stories of perseverance and resilience, and they will each be introducing themselves.
All right, well, I'm Margarita Machado Casas, and I'm originally from Nicaragua, Bluefields, Nicaragua, which is an area in the entire country where our first language is Creole. It's not Spanish. And my family, we're Afro-descendants. And so to start, I think that you need to know that because when I grew up in an environment that was multilingual and there were 5 different languages spoken. So Spanish, although Nicaragua, when you think of Nicaragua, you think Spanish, really was not my first language. So when the war started, we were told we had 2 hours to get our stuff and leave. And fortunately, my parents owned a business, and my mom grabbed everything she had, put it in a luggage, and I remember vividly getting on the plane, going from Bluefields to Managua, which is the capital, and then from Managua, another plane, and going to Panama. We were there about 6 years, almost 7 years, and then a lot of civil unrest happened in Panama. And so my parents were really worried until one day I was in a bus and there was a lot of rioting, there was a lot going on. And the bus in which my brother and I were on flipped over. And I was with my little brother. And my mom and dad, that's the day that they said, we have to move. We have to leave. This is crazy. My dad went to get a visa. And they stamped, he brought all of our passports and they stamped his passport. And they said, you can go, but your family has to stay. So my dad came over here via plane, and a year later he called us, and he said, you're coming. I said, oh, great. I was excited. I'm coming to the United States. Woohoo. All I was thinking about was what I watched on TV about the United States. Well, turns out we went to Mexico City, and we took a car all the way to Baja California, to Tijuana. We went to this lady's house. I didn't know anything. All I knew is that I was going to the United States. We showed up to this place that looked like a stadium, and there was a lot of lights in the middle, and I remember getting to the top and thinking of this hill and thinking, what's going on? And I looked to the right and looked to the left, and there's a lot of people there. And my hands suddenly started sweating, and I thought to myself, oh, I'm nervous. Why? I knew something was happening. And then I asked the coyote. The coyote is the person that helps you cross the border. And I said, what are we doing here? And he says, do you see that on the other side? That's the United States, and we have to make it there without getting caught. And I said, but why? And he says, because you're not wanted. So that was the first thing that I heard about me here in the United States, that thankfully we made it to the other side. We were walking around San Diego, not like homeless, really, not really knowing where to go, my siblings and I, my mom. And this lady talking about angels, and again, I think there's no coincidence. This lady happened to see us and said, "You guys just crossed the border, right?" And I don't know why I felt like I could trust her, and I said, "Yes." And the coyote just looked at me like he wanted to kill me, like, "Be quiet." And she took us to her house, changed us. You know, we were able to take showers, we were able to eat, and that's how I got here. And the first thing that happened to me when I got to school is that because I'm Creole, I understand a little bit of English, but I had a very thick accent. And the teacher did not know what to do with me. So she just put me in the corner, turned my desk around, and had me do crossword puzzles for 6 months. To this day, if you give me a crossword puzzle, I will go crazy. That's the one way to get me really upset real fast. Because it does something to you when you know that you've already taken Algebra 2 as a 7th grader, and, you know, in Panama, we were in Panama, and then you come here and the teacher's telling you you can't. So I got really upset one day. She was passing out, and it was a arithmetic class, and I was really upset, and I went up to the teacher, and I said, I want to take the test, and she wouldn't let me do it. So then what I did is that I took the test, and I did it, and I gave it to her, and I go, here. She graded it, and it was an A. Face dropped. Talk about a Kodak moment. I wanted to take a selfie of her that moment, but I couldn't. There was no selfies back then. I didn't have a phone. We had pagers. And that's how it started. Graduated top 1% of my class. I got a $40,000 scholarship. I went to the University of California, Riverside. I show up my first day. I had all my classes, and then they tell me that, unfortunately, I'm not on the list of students. And I said, why not? And they said, you're not here. The professor said, you're not here. You're not a student here. I said, I am. I go to financial aid and they tell me that because I'm not a legal resident of the country, I'm not allowed to get financial aid. But on top of that, I'm not allowed to get the scholarship that I work for with my good grades. So all my classes were dropped. I started crying. I went home and my parents borrowed money. We did whatever to be able to pay that $400 tuition that I had to pay for that 1 month. And I worked from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. for the next 4 years. And I went to school during the day, and I became a teacher. And then as a teacher, I was becoming a teacher. I got my master's. And then after that, I met this amazing professor, and I told him, I want to do what you do. I want to rock it like that. I want to change people's lives. And he said, okay, well, you got to apply for a PhD. And I said, well, how do you do that? And then he told me how to do that. I applied to 5 schools. I was offered 5 full rides. I did not even know I could do that, y'all. I decided to go to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and because it had the fastest Latino growing population in the country. It was very hard. I was the only Latina there. My first research class, the professor wrote on my paper at the end of my class, people like you don't make it through. You need to leave this place wetback. And I couldn't write for about 3 weeks. I was devastated because I'm an English language learner, and it hit me right where it hurts. My ability to speak, my ability to write, which is what everybody always says that it's our struggle. And I went and I talked to my advisor, and I told my advisor, his name is George. I said, George, I'm about to do something, and I need your help. I need you to tell me whether I'm going to get kicked out or not. If I am going to get kicked out, I need you to fight for me. And I went and I told that guy that he was nobody, that he did not have the power to do that to me. And then I put a complaint against him, and 5 other, they were all African Americans, came out. 3 of them had already dropped out of the university against him. So the struggles are there every day, and there's going to be a lot of people who are going to tell you that you cannot do it, but there's a lot of resources. My counselor told me that why would a frijolera, she said that, a beaner, why would a frijolera want to go to college? So I think that what you need to do is just find those people everywhere. They're everywhere who can help you, and you know, we'll be able to answer questions in a little bit.
I was born in Brownsville, Texas, so that is the southernmost part of Texas. It is a border with Matamoros, Tamaulipas, Mexico. My parents are originally from Mexico. My mother was born in Vallehermoso, Tamaulipas, and my father, he was born in Brownsville, but of course he was taken back to Matamoros and he was raised there. When I was 14, my parents separated, divorced, and I back then I thought, why would you do this? We've always been a group. We've always been a team. Why would you do this to me? And of course, back then I was an angry teen. I was angry. I didn't understand why things were happening. And I felt I was distracted from my schoolwork, and I wasn't focusing. I wasn't giving it my all. I was just thinking about my personal life. But thank God I had an information systems class, and I had a teacher. Her name is Maria Guajardo, and she told me one day, do you know what you're going to do with your career? Do you know what you want to study? And I said, no, and I'm a senior. I still don't know what I want to do. I've been so focused with my personal life. Being an angry teen, I haven't really thought about it. And she just told me, you know, you can always try accounting. Take a class with me. It's your senior year. You have a free elective. And I thought, oh my God, I am so lame. I could be taking art. I could be taking music. Why am I going to take accounting? But I thought, I'll get something good out of it. Of course, I loved it. I liked numbers, and she encouraged me. She made me feel that I could do it, that I was good at something. And then I noticed that okay, if I focus in school, I do my homework, it gets my mind off of things. And I thought, okay, so my personal life isn't going well. So what am I going to do? I'm going to focus on my schoolwork, and it really helped me. In Brownsville, we do have, well, back then it was University of Texas at Brownsville, and it was easy to apply. I got accepted. Um, but I said, okay, I think it's time to challenge myself a little bit. So I moved to San Antonio after I finished my basics. I was lucky enough that my brother was already in San Antonio, so he's a great support. And once I arrived to San Antonio, I was excited, but it did impact me, and I always felt a little bit insecure, thinking, man, I come from a small city uh, where Spanish is is the language. I felt I thought my education level, it's probably not as good as these kids up here. I thought, what do I have to offer? What makes me special? And I mean, thankfully, what I did was I thought, okay, just think about it. If your parents started with so little and they did so much for you, how can you not do twice as much as they did? And I always tell my dad, if you did so much with so little, I should be able to do so much more. So I've always set my expectations pretty high. Um, there are moments where I feel insecure and I think, oh my goodness, I am not going to make it. Accounting is tough. I am not going to make it. But I've learned to surround myself um, with good people, people that push me, that motivate me. I joined organizations. I've I have a group of girls that we, after every test, man, that was difficult, and we cry and whatever, but then we think, no, you got this, you got this. We push each other, and you need to surround yourself with that kind of people that have share the same goal as you do, and and if you ever go through any type of hardship, emotional hardship, just try to find the positive. Um, I I told my mom one day, I'm tired of being upset. I'm tired of being angry. I need to learn to forgive, to forget, and just make my own story, make it a positive one. So I really advise that to you guys, and um, I hope this will inspire anybody. And I mean, you never know where you will
My
end
name
up.
is Valentin, and I grew up in California. I was born in Ventura, but the majority of my childhood was spent in Santa Paula. It was a really small town. Like there was like 90% Hispanic people. A lot of immigrants would go to that town. Both of my parents came from Mexico City with nothing. My dad came at age 14. Everything. We lived in a house with 8 people and with 2 rooms and 1 bathroom. I mean, it was hard. But when I started going to school, they told me, they gave me some tests and they told me, well, you know what, you're actually, you're very intelligent. They put me in the GATE program. I started joining band. And then in 4th grade, I decided, you know what, I'm going to be an engineer just like my uncle. And everybody started telling me, you can't do it. Nobody's, you can't do it. You're just going to drop out like your parents did. You're not going to amount to anything. So all throughout middle school and like my freshman year, I pushed myself, you know what, like I'm really good at math and science. I'm going to do it. And then freshman year, my parents were like, you know what, we're moving to Texas. And so I left everything I knew, like growing up there, and I moved here not knowing anybody. And I pretty much had to start all over. And then when the SATs came, I didn't even want to take them. I was scared because I didn't know. I was like, well, my parents didn't go to college. I didn't know anybody else that went to college. I was alone, and the counselors, they weren't really giving me much information, but my parents were just like, go take it, don't even worry about it. Like, just try your hardest. I went and took it, and then when the results came back, I got a 2100. Like, I was really surprised, like, with that score. I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. And then, and it started, like, the time came to start applying to colleges. I didn't know. I had no idea. I went to my counselor, but she just kept telling me, go to community college. That's where your people go anyway. And I didn't even, at the time, I didn't know what she meant by that. I was just like, well, if she says to go to community college, she's a counselor. She knows best. And so by the time I realized that she was just discriminating against me and pretty much like the Hispanic people, it was already too late to apply to the colleges that I actually wanted to go to. I wanted to go to Stanford to be an engineer, but by the time, like I said, it was already too late. So I ended up going to a community college called Northwest Vista, and in 2 years there, I actually got my associates in engineering. I went back to my high school, and and I showed her my diploma, and I just like put it right there on her desk, and I told her, this is me. You told me I couldn't do it. And then I transferred to the University of Texas San Antonio, and then there I actually started having second thoughts about being an engineer. I started thinking, do I really? I spent so much time, studying, doing all this, but is the money really worth it? Because you can replace money, but you can never replace time. During my just even the community college classes, like I had no idea what it was. Like, you know, they were small classes, but even then, the work was hard, especially when it came to the engineering aspect of it. And I was, I didn't. I spent a lot of time studying. All my friends are like, you just not like, you want to come and hang out with us. I was like, I can't. I got to study. Every single time, I'd always like if I went to a party with them, I'd cut it short. Like I'd leave at night. I'd leave at 8. Like I was the party pooper, and all the time, I'd stay up studying. I even missed like my parents' birthdays, even my own birthday. I didn't even celebrate it. I was like, I'm too busy with school. I have to do this. And so when I transferred, I spent 1 year um, with engineering, and after that year, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't sacrifice time. So I decided that I actually changed my major to bilingual education, and because I felt that instead of, I was gonna spend, since I was gonna spend a lot of time anyway, I decided that what better way than to give back to my community. I thought, being a bilingual education teacher, I can actually help students at a young age, tell them you can do it, go take math, take science classes, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it, that you can do it. I want to be that person for everybody so that they know if I can do it, everybody else can do it. Don't let one person stop you. Don't let anybody stop you from doing what you want to do, because you never know where you're gonna end up. I never thought that I'd end up here. Back in March, I actually went to a conference in Las Vegas called NABE, and I didn't think I was gonna go there. I never thought in my life I never thought I was gonna do this. I mean, you don't know where you're gonna end up, so keep doing what you're doing. And I know a lot of you guys are in high school still. Don't if someone tells you you can't do it, don't listen to them. You should instead do what I did and then show them, because that's the best way to shut them up.
Just to wrap it up, if you can do it in one word or two, what's the best advice you can give everyone here? Yeah, pero rápido.
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Just do it.
That's a good one.
Always believe in yourself.
Just go for it. You've got nothing to lose.
Do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do.
Échenle ganas.
Take the time for yourself and be selfish.
And then I want to say #write your own story, because you said that. I love that. That was amazing.
Wonderful. Let's give our panelists a round of applause.
Yeah? We're gonna wrap it up with a Si Se Puede. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so can we do it? Okay, everybody get it. Let's go. Vamos.